What should you do with your TSP in retirement? I'm JT, and this is all about FERS. Your TSP has been a great tool for you for your entire career. But just like any tool, we need to know how to use it and when it doesn't work. When is it the wrong tool for the job? The TSP is really good at two things, and it's not very good at two other things. The things that it's really good at are growth and accumulation. So let's first talk about growth. What I mean by that is that you have a limited menu option, a limited selection in the investments that you can choose in the TSP. There's 5 different funds. There's the G fund, which is like a good money market fund. You have the C fund, which is like the S&P 500. You have the S fund, which is a small cap fund. You have the I fund, which is international. It's mostly Europe. And you have the F fund, which is fixed income or bonds. I like that it's just 5 options because it makes the selection easy. It makes it a lot easier to manage. The funds are really great. They're low cost, and they've done a great job over the years. If we have too many options, I've seen some 401ks have thousands of different options, then we can get bogged down in those decisions and maybe we just end up leaving it in cash. So I really like the growth aspect of the TSP. The second thing that it's really good at is accumulation. Now, what I mean by this is that every 2 weeks, whether the market is up or the market is down, you're putting money into your TSP. You're making your contributions, and your employer is also making contributions. This is called dollar cost averaging. So whether the market is up, the market is down, every 2 weeks you're making those contributions. And over the long term, that really does a great job of building wealth. TSPs, 401ks, things like that, historically have been some of the best performing investments because of this dollar cost averaging. Out of sight, out of mind, you just make those contributions. So it's a really great tool at building wealth. The two things that it's not good at are distributions and tax planning. Let's talk about distributions first. The TSP has this rule called the proportionate distribution rule, which says that you need to take from each one of those funds equally if you want to take a distribution. So for example, let's say that you're invested in 3 out of the 5 funds. You have money in the G fund, you have money in the C fund, and money in the S fund. Let's say you want to take $1,000 out. You have to take equally from the G, C, and S fund. At first, this might not seem like a problem, but we have a rule that we never invest money that we need to spend in the next 5 years. This includes distributions. This includes income from investments. If we know we're going to need to take $1,000 a month from investments, then we want to make sure that we have that money set aside in cash or money market or something secure so that it doesn't go down with the markets. Why do we say 5 years? You think back to 2008. It was 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 2008, the market fell in half, and then it took 5 years to recover. So if we have 5 years worth of those distributions set aside from the market volatility, either in cash or money market, short-term bond funds, CDs, something like that, then we can be pretty confident that we're never going to have to sell our investments when the market is down. Just like dollar cost averaging does a really great job of building wealth over the long term, selling when the market is going down makes those losses even worse. It can be detrimental to your investment portfolio. So we want to make sure that we're drawing from cash and not selling investments. So if we go back to that proportionate distribution rule, if we have the G fund, the C fund, and the S fund, and I call up the TSP and say, hey, send me $1,000 from the G fund, they say, nope, we have to take equally from each one of these, which means that we're selling some of our funds in the C fund and the S fund. Now, this is fine if the market's going up, but when the market goes down, that could be really detrimental to the portfolio. So first thing it's not good at is distributions. The second thing it's not good at is tax planning. Within the TSP, you can have pre-tax dollars and Roth dollars in the TSP, but we can't do Roth conversions in the TSP. We can't say, this year we want to move, call it $20,000 from pre-tax, pay the taxes on it, and put it into the Roth account inside the TSP. This would be called an in-plan Roth conversion. Some 401ks allow it, the TSP does not. So the workaround for the Roth conversion in the TSP is you have to first transfer it to an IRA and then do the Roth conversion from there. So one exception to these two things that the TSP is not good at is the rule of 55. So if you separate from service after age 55, you can access money from the TSP for income. You can transfer it. You have full access to your funds in the TSP after age 55. In IRAs and most 401ks, the age is 59 and a half. So if you were to transfer money to an IRA, we wouldn't be able to access that money until age 59 and a half. So if you separate from service after age 55, but before age 59 and a half, one strategy is to leave some money at the TSP, the money that you're going to need for the next few years, and then transfer the rest to an IRA where we can do that tax planning. So that would be the one exception. One thing I really like about the TSP is that you're able to access that money as early as age 55 if you separate from service after age 55. So let's talk about some of the options that you have with the TSP in retirement. The first thing that you can do is a lump sum. You can just call it the TSP and say, hey, it's been real, it's been fun, hasn't been real fun, send me the money. Let's say that you have $500,000 in your TSP. They will send you $400,000 and they'll make a $100,000 estimated tax payment to the IRS. First question is that $100,000 enough? Probably not. So if you had $500,000 in your TSP and it was all sent to you in a lump sum, that would be $500,000 of taxable income on top of whatever income you had that year. That would easily put you into the 32% bracket, federal plus state taxes. So $100,000 estimated tax payment wouldn't even be enough. So there's a huge tax liability in taking the lump sum. Where we see this most often is that some people want to take that lump sum option to pay off their house. They forget about the tax consequences, and these are huge tax consequences. Another option is to roll it over to an IRA. What happens in a rollover is the TSP sends you a check, and then you have 60 days to put that money into a traditional IRA. But let's go back to the other example. Let's say you have $500,000 in your TSP. How much money did the TSP send you? They send you $400,000 and they made an estimated tax payment of $100,000 to the IRS. But this is supposed to be a tax-free event, right? The rollover is supposed to not be taxable, but they still made the tax payment. So you have 60 days to get $500,000 into your traditional IRA, or that $100,000 estimated tax payment becomes taxable to you. So this is where we can get into a lot of trouble, is in using the word rollover. A rollover means that the TSP sends you a check and you have 60 days to get it into the IRA. Rather than using the word rollover, we encourage our clients to use the word transfer. This is a direct trustee to trustee transfer. The way that this works is that the TSP sends the money directly to the new IRA custodian. They don't send you a check and they don't make an estimated tax payment for you. It goes directly from the TSP to your IRA. So to avoid any of the headache, to avoid any estimated tax payments, again, using the word transfer can solve a lot of those problems. Another option that you have is monthly distributions. This can be set up systematically where they send you a specific dollar amount every month or quarterly. It's really up to you. The thing to watch out for here is that proportionate distribution rule. So again, if we have, up to 5 different funds in the account, then they're going to be sending equally from each one of those funds. Something we need to be really careful about. So in some scenarios where this works really well is if you're age 55, between age 55 and 59 and a half, leave a portion in the TSP to cover income in those years. So maybe it's the G fund or something like that. Just leave that portion there and then transfer the rest to the IRA. Then we can take monthly distributions from the G fund and not violate our 5-year rule. Another thing to point out with monthly distributions is that we have 2 fund transfers per month, plus the move to the G fund. We can always move to the G fund if needed, but we are limited to 2 fund transfers per month. So in some cases, we've seen some people try to manage around this proportionate distribution rule and move things all into the G fund, then take their distribution, then move things back. The problem with this is that limit of 2 fund transfers per month. The other one is it takes a few days for those trades to settle, for things to change. And so that's a few days per month that you're going to be out of the markets. And if you're out a few days per month, every month in the year, those days add up. And you could potentially miss out on good market gains. And it becomes kind of an administrative headache that we want to watch out for. Another option that you have is to buy an annuity. This is different from your FERS annuity. We like to call the FERS annuity a pension because it's paid from your employer. An annuity is an insurance product that you buy. And in this case, you take your entire TSP balance or a portion of your TSP balance and you buy an annuity. You give your money to MetLife in this case. MetLife will then guarantee income to you. And you can set the parameters if it's going to be income for your life or income for a joint life with your spouse. But the thing to watch out for here is that this is an irreversible decision. And anytime we're making an irreversible decision, we want to take caution, take a step back, and get another set of eyes on this before we sign that paperwork. Because whether you want to get out of it in just a few weeks after making that decision or later years down the road, this is something that cannot be changed. So you need to be very careful when choosing the annuity option. The last option that you have is to leave it. You do have the option to do nothing. You can just continue to leave the TSP where it is. You can keep it invested for growth. Maybe you don't need money from your investments and your income needs are covered by other things like Social Security, your pension, maybe spousal income, something like that. So you can leave the TSP where it is. At some point, you will be required to take a certain amount from the TSP. It's called your required minimum distribution. And depending on what year you were born, that age will be between 73 and age 75. And there's a life expectancy table that the IRS uses. It's called the Uniform Lifetime Table that will determine how much you need to take from your TSP each year starting after your RMD age. Thing to watch out for there as well is that's mandatory income. Anything that comes out of the pre-tax portion of the TSP is taxable as ordinary income. So those RMDs are income to you. And that required amount of distribution can have the effect of potentially pushing you into the next tax bracket. It can increase your Medicare premiums. So you want to look at what effect is your RMD going to have on future taxes. So in deciding what to do with your TSP in retirement, I think it's really important to look at your overall plan. What are we solving for here? Right? The TSP is just a tool, and we need to know what the tool is good at and how we're going to use it in the context of our overall financial plan. So how much income do we need? How much growth do we need over the coming years? I hope this was a good guide in helping you determine what to do with your TSP in retirement. If you have any other questions or would like us to take a look at it, click the link below to go to our website to schedule a consultation with one of our federal employee benefits specialists. Until next time, happy planning.